Hello, I am Chloe Myers from Hopscotch Coaching. I am about to join you on the Prosperity online show, having a chat about my journey of going from expert drinker to happy sober person. Who knew that was possible? And I'm going to be sharing about how I help other people do the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we have a guest who's about to turn your world upside down, but in the best way possible. Get ready to meet Chloe, the rebellious soul on a mission to help you ditch the spirits and embrace a life of limitless possibilities. Now, Chloe, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. We've just gotten into January, and everybody else has got their goals and aspirations to stop drinking. And you're here to help us show us how, right? So I think this promises to be one of the best episodes we've had in a while, packed with a lot of humor. We've already started laughing, wisdom, and a journey that will actually leave you inspired. So I want you to stick around because it's an adventure you don't want to miss. Now, Chloe, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and how you're helping people with your work.
Yeah, so I am a coach and I help people to stop drinking or to take a break from drinking or change how they drink, basically just look at their relationship with alcohol and make sure that it's something that they're happy with. And it's all about positivity and carrot rather than stick. So it's all about focusing on all of the great things that you gain from drinking less or cutting it out completely, rather than any kind of guilt or shame for things you might have done in the past. It's all about looking forward, all the things that you might be able to achieve by drinking less, by having more time and energy and motivation and feeling healthier and happier. And things like feeling more confident that we think we need alcohol for. It actually turns out that I'm way more confident since I stopped drinking. I'm sleeping better. All these things that we think we need alcohol to help with, it's actually not true. So I'm here to support people through a 6-week break initially to experience that stuff for themselves.
Fantastic. And how did you stumble upon this? How did you actually get the idea to start helping people break up with alcohol, and why has it been a game changer?
Yeah, so I did stumble upon this. This was not my plan. So I've worked in health coaching for pretty much my whole career. And then I trained as an executive coach and wanted to start out on my own. And I don't know if you've had other coaches on the show, but the thing with coaching is that you learn it doesn't matter about your experience and your knowledge. It's all about the other person. And then you try and start a business and it's like, oh no, you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So you have to pick a niche. And so like most coaches that I've met, I tried a few different things, had a few different ideas. I actually started out supporting parents whose children were struggling in school, because that was an experience I'd been through. And so I was playing with all these different things. And throughout that, I gave up drinking myself, which I'll talk a bit more about. And I found that was the thing that everyone was asking me questions about. So it just seemed obvious that that was the way I needed to go. And I was previously what you might call a professional or expert drinker. I had an amazing relationship with alcohol. We were besties. So I loved drinking. It wasn't affecting my life negatively, I would say. So of course I'd have hangovers, but it wasn't like my job was at risk or my relationship or my kids hated me, or like I wasn't causing trouble for myself. I didn't hit rock bottom. I had a really good relationship with alcohol. I had real fun drinking. I never in a million years would have thought that I would be this person I am now that's advocating for not drinking, because I was the biggest advocate for drinking because I loved it. So I think that's part of my message, is you don't have to have a problem to stop. It's just life can be pretty good and you want it to be great. And cutting out alcohol or reducing it will make it great, because you learn to relax without needing a drink. You learn to deal with your feelings and your problems. You've got more time, more energy. And so it's all about that, going from good to great.
Fantastic. I quite like that. And I see all the accolades and certificates behind you. Is any of them about you being an expert drinker?
I mean, one of them is a poem, so there's probably a little bit of that in there somewhere.
Fantastic. I want us to go back to the times when you were an expert drinker. What was actually happening? What was your day like? If you just walk us through that.
Yep, so I would describe myself as a fairly average drinker. So I wasn't drinking in the mornings, I wasn't drinking by myself, I wasn't drinking at night and every night. I wasn't drinking at home particularly. It was all very sociable. So I basically, almost every time that I socialized, there'd be alcohol involved. So even if it was like going out for a run or a row, we'd probably go for a beer afterwards. Maybe even if it was a morning one and the pub wasn't opening out, we might even take a bottle of Prosecco out on the boat with us at sunrise, which was glorious. And if it was a birthday party or a funeral or a celebration, someone had got a new job or there was a band playing, you know, like any situation, there was always something. And I went back and forth, like, oh, I would quite like to cut it out and see what that's like. But there was never a convenient month to do it. So be like, oh, I can't this month because there's like this christening or this hen night or this wedding. So, and then that's when I realized if I can't find a convenient month to do it, then maybe I am actually dependent. So it's not that I'm physically dependent and can't get through the day without it, but if I can't get through a month because my life revolves around alcohol and I feel like I'd have to miss out on that thing, then that was enough dependency for me to really want to challenge it.
Absolutely. And obviously, while you were doing all of those things, did you lose out on any of the friendships because maybe you would have become boring to the people that would always be happy to have a drink? And you know, how then were you keeping things lively while making such a significant lifestyle shift?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And that's actually the thing that comes up the most that people are worried about, is like, how will I socialize? Like, that is how I spend time with my friends. How can I still see my friends if I don't drink? And it definitely has affected my friendships. But I would say mostly in a positive way. I'm much more purposeful about who I spend time with now and what we're doing. Rather that so there was lots of people that I would see in the pub every week and have a nice chat to and have a good time with, but not really talk to outside of that situation, never kind of meet up with them on purpose. So I don't see those people anymore. And there are maybe a couple of people from my past that I used to see where we used to always drink every single time. And I don't necessarily know how to spend time with those people now. But really, you know, on reflection, like, that's not how I want to be spending my time. So I'm okay with that. And it feels like a conscious choice. I don't feel like I've been ditched. I feel more like I've chosen that I don't want to put myself in that situation anymore. And it's funny, a big part of my work, kind of before I was specializing in sobriety, it was all about helping people play more and get more creative. So what I find when I'm coaching people who are taking the 6-week break, I always dedicate 1 week to play, and I ask, you know, how do you play and how do you have fun without alcohol? And out of all the questions that I ask my clients, that's often the hardest one. That's the one that stumps them. And we don't know, as adults, we've lost this ability to play. And we feel like we need alcohol to have fun. And even when my children used to ask me, like, why do you drink? Like, what's it like to be drunk? And I would say, well, it helps us feel like a child again, because we lose our inhibitions and we aren't scared to get up on the dance floor and dance and to talk to anyone. And like, it makes us feel like a child and be silly. And we need more of that in our lives. Like, we're all working so hard. We need to play. And we need to learn how to play without always having to get drunk and then suffer the next day for it. So learning how to play again and just be a bit silly is really important, I think, for all of us, whether you're drinking or not. But finding ways that you can still have fun that don't have to include alcohol. Because even the ways that we might have fun, so maybe you surf or dance or something, like often, at least in my world, that would be followed by drinking. So even if alcohol wasn't part of the activity itself, there would usually be a drink at the end of it. So it's so ingrained and entwined in every single thing that we do. Even things like try and buy a birthday card for someone, it's all like Prosecco glasses or pint glasses, like it's alcohol, it's gin, you know, it's all everywhere. It's really hard to avoid it because it's so normalized.
Absolutely. And what's the sort of drinking culture and age there in the UK, normally?
Yeah, so we are, we're pretty good at drinking here in the UK. I think fairly famously. So we probably, or me at least, and pretty much everyone I know, we probably start experimenting with alcohol around 14 or 15, certainly by 16. For me, I live in a seaside town, so that would be a bottle of cider under the pier on the beach at night and that kind of thing. And then as you start to be able to get into the pub when you're maybe 17, then obviously the drinking doesn't necessarily increase because you've got no money to pay for it. But you're certainly, then it becomes normal that you're drinking like every Friday and Saturday night, and then the Thursdays and the Sundays start creeping in as you maybe go to university or have got a bit more money. So it starts young and it's everyone.
Absolutely. You see, when I'm from Africa, right? And traditionally, they are traditional brews and some sort of alcohol, and every celebration has somewhat of an alcohol theme around it, no matter what it is. We actually have, like a wake when somebody is just passed, and then maybe after 2 weeks, you go in and remember them. It's all about alcohol. You just go. You're apparently drinking to forget them. And you can imagine with culture like that embedded, it makes it very difficult. Now, while we were growing up as well, there used to be a game called Hopscotch. I don't know if you know anything about that game. We literally used to call that game a game that was invented in Scotland because the kids will be hopping over their dads who would have been so drunk with scotch moving forward. Is that a myth, or is that something that actually is a reality?
That is incredible. So I've never heard that before, but my business is called Hopscotch Coaching, so really good to hear that. And the hopscotch came about because, as I said, like originally it was focused on helping people play more. But yeah, my version of hopscotch isn't quite like that, but maybe that is how it started. And then I realized, I was like, oh, maybe I need to change the hopscotch because it's not relevant to alcohol. And then I realized it's like hops from beer and scotch, so it still kind of works.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just tell us about your coaching model, the Hopscotch coaching model, and how it actually guides your clients to be successful.
Yeah, so it came from an NLP model, so neuro-linguistic programming, called logical levels of change, which is 7 steps. And I hate models. So when I was doing my training, any week where they're like, right, here's a script and you've got to go and practice it, I really, really resist it because I wanted to be free and follow the conversation. But I did this model, and you get the person standing up and like moving around, and the partner I was with, so I'd already kind of come up with my hopscotch idea at this point, and the partner I was working with said, this is hopscotch, like I'm moving back and forth, jumping around. And I was like, okay, I can use this, because what I really liked about it is that it covers all of the key things that we use in coaching. So no matter what kind of coaching you're doing, we're usually going to be looking at things like values, beliefs, identity, confidence, communication. So I basically adapted the model so it had 10 steps, so it would fit with the hopscotch idea. And it's really useful. So I used it, it's in my book, so that you can follow it yourself. So I think it's a really good way to coach yourself and make sure that you've hit every point that you need to. And that's what I wanted to do with the book, like make coaching really accessible and help people who might not be able to afford it or might not be convinced yet, that like just help them see what it's all about and how it can help them. So that's where Hopscotch came from. And I think it's a great model. So I sometimes use it if we have an hour and a half session and we will just smash it all. And it's like doing a whole coaching program condensed into one quite full-on session, but it does get brilliant results. And I like getting people standing up and moving around and jumping around and feeling a bit silly and playful and bringing that into my coaching. So even when they might be dealing with some quite hard, deep questions, there's still always a playful element to what we're doing.
Fantastic. I once heard of a counselor who went on and shut all the pubs in a little town in Ireland. Have you ever heard of a counselor like that?
No.
Absolutely. What would you do if the counselor in your town went on and started teaching everybody else what you're teaching?
So I don't know if I follow the question.
Absolutely. So in the little town that you're living in, so
Yeah.
do you have a mayor or do you have a councillor in a little town?
I'm actually on the council of my town.
What?
Yeah.
All right, tell us.
It could be me. I could be that person doing that.
But would you do that to your town though?
To what, go and enforce them all going sober?
Yes.
No, I won't be doing that. So everyone in Timoth doesn't need to worry that will be coming.
Absolutely. So as an elected town councillor now, how does your sort of local community involvement influence your work and the approach that you have to what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the reason I think that I was elected onto the council was because in the past I was working for a health coaching charity in the town. So I'm well known locally in the community for being someone that promotes healthy living. And that was more around kind of connection and fighting loneliness rather than diet and exercise and those things. So that obviously did come into it. But yeah, so I mean, my approach is very much like, I don't want to be preachy. I'm going to tell you that getting sober has really surprised me in how good it's made me feel and how it's helped me achieve so many things. But that doesn't mean it's the right thing for everybody. It's just like, have you even thought about this? Because I hadn't. I thought that getting sober was all about hitting rock bottom and being in recovery and it being a constant lifelong battle, like constant temptation. I genuinely didn't know you could just choose to be sober and be happy about it. Like it didn't even occur to me. I don't know anyone that did that. And then I started, as I was starting my business and I was networking, I started meeting people that were really inspiring me. And then I was noticing this theme that they didn't drink. And I was like, okay, there's something in this. And so that's the message that I want to spread. And also coincidentally, the timing of it. So when I was approached about standing for the election, I was kind of like, yeah, like that'd be interesting, like a new experience, make a difference to this town. So I've lived here my whole life. As I say, I ran this charity in the town. So like I love my town. And I thought about it, and my main hesitation was that I like going out drinking, and what if people see me out doing stupid things and then they're like, I saw this counsellor, like it's really inappropriate that she, you know, is getting that drunk or whatever. And that was a massive motivator for me. Like that was probably the main catalyst. So it really wasn't like nothing awful happened. It was more, no, I want to have this reputation of being a good community person that people can look up to and come to for support. And alcohol was stopping me from being that.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, you know, when you're in a position like that, you just want to make sure you're leading by example and, you know, you would actually create a focal point on or model the character that you want your people to have. Now, some people turn to sort of alcohol when, they face challenges in life. Okay, so something maybe tragic happens, or they lose their job, lose a loved one, or something of that sort, or maybe they've just been made redundant, or maybe something happens during the pandemic, and a lot of those things happen to you. You face challenges when you lost your mom, and it was during the pandemic. Now, how has such a personal experience influenced maybe your coaching style and the values that you bring to the sessions and still remain sober?
Mhm. Well, so I was drinking when my mum died. So that was she actually died the day that we came out of the first lockdown here, which felt quite sort of symbolic, as because I was then able to go out and discreetly hug my friends and things like that, which I wouldn't have been able to a week before. And so I was drinking then, but I still I'm just thinking now. And so I wouldn't say that I fell into drinking really heavily or anything like that. I was definitely drinking, but not in a problematic way. I do, like, at her funeral, I definitely did get quite drunk, but I think that's to be expected. Like, that's not unreasonable. And I think, so I also care for my dad, who is an alcoholic, and that's obviously influenced a lot of my thinking. But I never looked down on him. I was proud of my cool dad. I couldn't wait when I was growing up. He was like a role model to me. I couldn't wait to start drinking and be just like him. But quite often I'd go and see him, and he'd be quite unwell, and I'd leave, and the first thing I'd want to do would be have a drink to make me feel better. And it really screwed with my head, because I was like, I want this drink because I'm really stressed out, but also I know the cause of this is alcohol. So why would I even entertain it? And there's probably, I'm maybe susceptible to alcoholism myself because it's in my family and on my mum's side as well. So that was always difficult for me, in wanting to have a drink, but also knowing that drink was the cause of my problems. And actually, I think most of us might be able to relate to that, where you're feeling stressed because of a problem that has been made worse by drinking. Even if that's just that you went into work feeling a bit hungover, so you didn't do as well as you could, and then you screwed something up. But then more recently, so whilst sober, my husband and I have separated, and so we've been together since I was 18, so more than half my life, and we've now got the most beautiful, happy friendship. We are as close as ever. We're best friends. We love spending time together. It's all completely amicable. It's more like we've taken away the parts of our relationship that caused arguments, and we've kept all the good stuff, because there was loads of it. And I just think if we had split up when I was drinking, I don't like to think about how that might have gone. So I imagine we'd have got drunk, had lots of drunk arguments. I'd probably have gone out and done some stupid stuff that I regretted, and then he would have found it, I don't believe that we could have separated this amicably if I had still been drinking. I just don't think that would have been possible. It would have been too hard. If we could go out drinking together when we were together and have a brilliant night, and we would argue on the way home every single time. Alcohol just fueled those arguments. And now we just make an effort, if we've got things brewing under the surface, we make sure to have a nice grown-up, reasonable, sober conversation, so it doesn't need to get to the point of argument ever. So I'm really grateful that I was already sober when this happened, and maybe that's part of the reason, because obviously I've changed a lot and it's changed our dynamic, but it's been the most happy, wonderful experience, and it wouldn't have been if I was drinking. I'm 100% sure of that.
Fantastic. And That's a happy ending for sure. Does he still drink himself?
He does, but actually a lot less. So, because we'd go out sometimes that we'd maybe like go to a barbecue and I'd be driving, and then we'd get home, say like 8 or 9 p.m. and he'd be drunk, or not stupid drunk, but drunk enough that he didn't feel himself. And he'd say like, "Oh, I'm jealous of you not being drunk. Like, I wish I wasn't drunk now." And so he started seeing the benefits to me, and it's definitely impacted. He's drinking a lot less than he was. He also started coaching our son's football team on a Saturday morning, which kind of cut out the Friday night drinking because the football was more important to him than drinking. And that's another thing about giving it up, is you make time to do other things that you really love and enjoy and that are really nourishing. And that's improved his relationship with our son. And just so his relationship with alcohol is definitely different. He's used my course to quit vaping. So even if, and it's definitely cut his drinking down, and that's it. It's about finding the right way for you. So I try my best to not be preachy at all. So it's finding the right way for you. So whether that's a break, whether that's cutting down. But in my experience, I tried cutting down, I tried moderating, I tried taking breaks. And that was necessary experience for me to kind of build up the sort of muscle to get sober permanently. But as soon as I decided it was a permanent decision, it was just easy. Like, that was it. I just made that decision. I didn't have to think about it anymore. I didn't have to go out and think, am I going to drink tonight? How many am I going to drink? When am I going to stop? When am I going to come home? I can't do this thing tomorrow because I might be hungover. Like, all of that thought was gone, giving me headspace for my business, for my friendships, for hobbies, for just reading books. Like, it just freed up so much space.
Oh, absolutely. I can concur. Now, what would be the best way that people can get a hold of you, just so they can get started on this journey, the 6-week journey that you provide?
Yep. So my website is hopscotchcoaching.co.uk. I am all over LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, which is where we met, I'm Chloe Myers. And on Instagram, I'm at sober_and_sunny_.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's quite incredible what you have built for yourself and who you've become. Now, if you could give yourself maybe one piece of advice to the younger drinking Chloe, what would it be? And how has it actually sort of changed the coaching philosophy that you have right now?
So this is one of those questions that I ask other people all the time, and then I don't have an answer for it myself. So yeah, give me so I think I'd say, like, enjoy drinking. It's okay. Like, don't feel guilty about it if you're having a good time and it's not causing problems. Like, that's okay. But life could be so much happier and better, and you can feel healthier and more confident and achieve more when you're ready to stop. And because I don't want to take all those experiences, like, I don't regret any of the things I did. I don't want to take any of that away, and it all made me who I am today. But it's just, she wouldn't have believed that I don't drink now.
Wow.
Like, no way. Even when I really, really wanted it, I never thought this me existed.
Fantastic. You just reminded me, last week, there was a grand opening here in Melbourne where they were opening the world's largest candy store in the city. And I was in there, not a single leak, and my kids were all over the place. And I was just thinking, younger me would be kicking me right now, saying, you are in this big a candy store and you're not having any. So I can so see what you're talking about there. Fantastic. Now, what can people expect from Chloe moving forward? I see you're in politics right now. Should we start voting for Prime Minister and any of those seats moving forward?
No, I will be. I'm staying local. So what's coming next? So I've just been doing one-to-one or my online course, which is self-led up till now. but I'm about to launch a group program to build that bit of community, so that people can support each other and see that they're not on their own. So that's my new thing that I'm working on right now, is like just getting the detail of that exactly right, and then launching it in the spring.
Fantastic. And there you have it, folks. A journey with Chloe Myers that's bound to leave you both enlightened and entertained. Now, if you want to take control of your life, refine your relationships, with others and also with alcohol, I think this is, something that you need to jump onto. Chloe has the book, the courses, and also the time to help you stay sober and actually enjoy life without resorting to drink. And I also encourage you to hit that subscribe button for more mind-blowing insights. And don't forget to maybe watch this episode again. You might have missed out on the insights that Chloe was dropping on the show. Now, I will also put the links to the website, hopscotch.co.uk, and also the links to her LinkedIn, so you can learn from her. That's how I connected with her, because she's always throwing major insights, and I just wanted to find out more about her. So thank you so much, Chloe, and until next time, for those that are watching right now, keep thriving and stay off the booze. Bye for now.